process. The one thing I found about change is sometimes necessary, not in the extreme manner that I've had it, and we can only progress through change. If things stay the same, then we can't move on. Things can't actually get better. So change is necessary and is going to happen whether we like it or not. And it's embracing that change and finding the good from that process. I was a medic in the British Army, and I've been at that point. I've been in the army for 13 years, and we deployed out to Afghanistan to do an operational tour. I only lasted a month in Afghanistan. We left very early in the morning to go on a patrol, and I travelled about 150 metres when I activated an improvised explosive device, and it instantly took off my right leg. My left leg was damaged so much that had to be amputated later on. I damaged my right arm, and I had a bunch of other injuries as well. I've had an awful lot of surgery over the last 5 years. I've had surgery every year apart from 2012 and last year. A whole bunch of things went through my mind to start with, and a whole series of emotions went through my mind as well. So there was a little bit of denial, thinking, oh no, I'm all right, and then looking down and realising I wasn't all right. Anger that this had happened to me and it hadn't happened to somebody else, and then guilt because I thought that. And then quite a lot of fear because I knew the extent of my injuries and what that could result in. I knew that the prognosis wasn't great at that point, and that I could be, I might not make this. So I suppose the testing part really came quite early because I was only in hospital for 5 weeks, and then I was walking less than 2 months after I was injured. And then I started taking part in I wanted to get fit again, so I did some of the things I used to do but in a different way. So cycling, I got back into cycling, although I had to use a hand bike, and one of the first things that we did, I raised money for Help for Heroes, and we cycled across northern France. And then I took a part in a challenge, we cycled across America. So there was 8 of us, all of us injured, 4 on hand bikes and 4 that were on normal bikes, but I think out of a whole 8-man team, there was only 2 functioning legs within the whole team. And we cycled from San Diego to Annapolis, which is in Maryland. And it was 3,051 miles in 7 days, 7 hours and 38 minutes, not that I was counting at least. So we swam around Brownsea Island, 6.5 kilometres around the island, and I did it in 2 hours. I did have some shockers on the way around. Obviously I've got no legs, so that's a problem. I didn't know the route, which might sound silly, but I didn't know the route. I also managed to get Vaseline all over my goggles, so I couldn't see where I was going, and halfway around I was seasick as well. So to do it in 2 hours was quite an achievement, I think.
So Simon, since being injured, what do you feel you've lost and what have you gained?
Well, I'm going to talk about, I suppose, the lost bit first. I can't go for a run. It's something I really do miss. I miss that sense of being on my own and being able to work through problems on my own. But then I can use my bike or I can go swimming. And that achieves the same aims for me, so it's finding a way around that. I've lost my career that I loved, but then I have to recognise that the armed forces has changed a lot since 2009 and not necessarily for the better. I lost a little bit of my identity, who I was, and I didn't have to reinvent myself, but I had to think about who I was again, if you like. Then what have I gained? Well, I feel I'm free. I'm not constrained by the armed forces in a way. I can spend more time with my family, my children, which is incredible. And I've also got to choose what I do. So I could have chosen to sit at home and play computer games, or I could have chosen to get out and start giving back to a little bit of the people that helped me along the way. It's not a facade. I wanted to just find the positive from the negative and be happy. And I realised that it's like reading a book. You can keep on turning the pages, but going over the same chapter isn't moving forward. And concentrating on the negative, the fact that my legs have gone, that I haven't got the career that I loved I'm not doing anymore, the massive changes that come into my life. If I just concentrated on the negative, then I was living in the past and I had to live in the future, or I had to live in the present. From a manager's point of view, I think it's empathy, empathising with a process and a situation is one of the best ways to help manage a situation. Because at the end of the day, a manager's still experiencing that situation themselves. They're not separated from the process. And I think just being there and being able to listen to problems and issues can go a long way to helping those beneath them to work through the change process. The one thing I learned in the army, that if a soldier wasn't moaning, then there was a problem. And so it's unfortunate, but people tend to obviously always concentrate on the problem or the problems rather than the good stuff that's happening. So as a manager, I suspect that most managers deal with this every day. They just hear negative stuff all the time. But that's then their job also, to try and find the good stuff and seek the good stuff. But also not find the negative stuff as an attack, or it's got to be acknowledged. It may be a problem, it may not be a problem, but it's certainly got to be acknowledged, because otherwise that's where the trust starts to break down. If you're not being listened to as an employee, that's where the trust breaks down. But also, going back to choice, we've all got a choice of how we react to things, and we can choose to listen to the negative stuff. We can choose to act on the negative stuff, but we can also choose to try and draw out the good stuff as well, because the good stuff is where the magic happens. So over the last 3 years, I've been a volunteer ambassador for Help for Heroes, and I go into schools, big businesses, I go to after dinner events and deliver presentations to help raise money for the charity. So there's always an emphasis on the charity, but I also speak about how I've got from A to B. And then I've turned that into something else. I've turned that into a business, and so my website is blown-away.org, and on the back of that I've also got a little shop which you can find from the website, and I try and come up with images and statements that resonate with people that have gone through challenges of whatever sort. So if people can learn one thing from me, don't wait until you've been blown up to try and find the good stuff around you.